Hey guys, what's up and welcome to a new Tesla update video. So as usual, let's just get right into it, talk about Tesla, see what happened, and what a wild day. So Tesla ending the day actually up 3.23%, though it doesn't really feel like it in a way, right? Because, just literally a massive red candle today. But obviously, we gapped up based on earnings. I did say yesterday how the flow into earnings was overall more bullish than bearish. And yeah, clearly that was the case. I obviously made money off of this move as well, and I actually did sell everything pretty much at I think I sold some of it at 1070, like 1070-ish, and then the other rest of it I sold at like 1050, pretty much between 1070 and 1050 essentially was my sell range, and that's essentially where I sold. And then I sold puts. I'm not gonna lie, I kind of wish I didn't, mainly because one of the puts is going to be exercised most likely tomorrow. We'll see what happens. It's at 10:30. I honestly expected a bounce at 10:30. And we did at first. The reason today was such a harsh fall is also because the Fed was talking a lot. There was a lot of talk around that, a lot of fear. The 50 basis point hikes. There was a lot of that kind of FUD, if you will, happening in the markets today, relative to the Fed talking. So hopefully tomorrow will be a bit of a bounce, because today was a pretty aggressive sell. So I wouldn't be surprised to see some of a maybe a bounce tomorrow. Honestly, probably back to 10:30. At this rate, it really feels like we're just gonna bounce tomorrow to 10:30, and then we'll see what happens. That's my current guess, but of course we'll see. So essentially, Tesla, fantastic earnings. I don't know if you guys paid attention or didn't. The earnings were just an absolute gorgeous blowout. Absolutely just super sexy. But the thing is this is where you have to try to take emotion out, and that's why I sold, or at least started selling, and pretty much exited my full position, and then sold puts again, kind of regretfully, but it's okay. The other puts I sold were for 1,000, which I think will hold. But anyway, the point is that you have to try taking emotions out. Yes, Tesla absolutely just demolished it, completely destroyed earnings. It was gorgeous, probably some of the best earnings I've seen from them. In all honesty, it was amazing. But the market doesn't always care. It did up, because it did start the day up 9-10%, which is great. But then people will take profit based on the market conditions, the Fed speaking today, all these factors. Yeah, this is gonna sell off and people will take profits. It is what it is, right? You just gotta understand that. On top of that, we also did the gap fill. We actually finally went up to this gap fill at this 1090-ish level. Pretty much gap filled that. I don't know if it was a perfect gap fill, but I think it was close enough, I believe. Let's double check that. So this candle right here closed at 1091, and these ones went as high as 1090.5, so 50 cents off, which to me is good enough. Again, like I said, usually if it's a dollar or less, I consider it filled at that point. It's good enough. Anything more than $1 is when I start getting a little bit fishy. Anything more than $5 on Tesla specifically, that's where it's okay, well, not really. In this case, I would consider that filled. So, and that's also part of the reason why we sold off extremely aggressively, because a lot of people that are trading Tesla are also just going to be completely just piling in on puts, just selling shares, etc. Because, well, naturally, gap fill up here, it's a pretty decent sell signal for a lot of people, myself included. I didn't sell right away because I want to see how the market would react, of course. So I did sell a little bit lower, but nonetheless, obviously still up from where I bought initially, a week or two ago or whatever it was at this point. Anyways, the point is that, Tesla looked a little weak. The fact that, it's such a gap up and then just pretty much just consistently sold the whole day, it definitely shows weakness, right? It definitely shows weakness. It definitely shows that, there's the highs are probably already in. This high up here being this, 1150 or whatever. Yeah, that's probably the high. I really don't think we'll go much higher than that. I would say the only case that bulls will still have is essentially hoping that this right here is essentially kind of a bull flag. I'm not gonna lie though, it's a little bit of a wonky bull flag, but you can technically make a case for something like this. It's hard, and the reason I say it's hard is because, in all honesty, it's not the prettiest bull flag in the world. There's some things, for instance, this candle, it's just really sus, just weird. It's not the prettiest bull flag, but I would say if you're someone, I mean, at the end of the day, I'm a bull for Tesla, the company. Stock price is a different matter, in my opinion. A stock price does not reflect the company's short term, even medium term sometimes. So in terms of just the stock price itself, if you're someone that wants us to go up and make a new high or even all-time highs, this is in my opinion, your last chance. You need this bull flag. I use that lightly because, again, I still think this is a very sus bull flag, but nonetheless, this is your last chance, essentially. So essentially, you want to see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like I really just I'm trying to make this work, but I really don't think it'll work. Pretty much you want to see Tesla find a way to break like above 1100 again or something like that. Like you really do. Like this is just a really wonky, man, like to the point where I don't even want to look at it. It's just so bad. But yeah, so I'm personally thinking what's going to happen is I think what tomorrow will be a bounce day. There's still a chance, in my opinion, that we gap fill tomorrow to like 980-ish, like this area here. There is definitely a chance for that. But like I think I'm slightly more leaning towards the fact that I do think tomorrow will hold 1,000 and bounce up to 1030, something like that. I think we broke through 1030 too fast, but nonetheless 1030 is, you can see here, like this essentially, I'll make a line first so you guys can see what I'm talking about. But essentially like this general area, this line right here, you can see, you know, there's a lot of bouncing happening around this line, you know, on both sides, essentially between like 1025 to 1030, anywhere between that range. Here, let's make a better looking thing here so you guys can have a better idea of as to what I'm, you know, talking about. But essentially what you're looking at for Tesla is pretty much this like massive, really long rectangle is the area where it's very, you know, heavy with supply and demand. In this case, when we go back up to it, it's going to be something that's, you know, going to be very heavy with supply, right? And you know, when we're up here, there's a lot of demand, people bought, then we finally fell below where we gapped down, and then we went back up, tested it, bounced back, went up, tested it, bounced back down, and then we gap above it. The only time we seem to pass this area is through gap ups and gap downs, you know, after hours or post market. We don't really casually just go through it on an actual trading day. So with that being said, I would not be surprised whatsoever to see Tesla bounce up, probably get to this general level, right? 1025, 1030, probably get rejected. Like I'm like 80% sure it'll get rejected. Not obviously nothing is 100%, but like 80% sure it'll get rejected. And you guys know what I've been saying the whole time. What have I been saying for the past like 2 weeks or something like that, guys? I said that when we dropped all the way over here, I said it doesn't matter what move happens here. I did say that I think there's a decent chance we move up. I said there's a chance we go all the way up here, though. I said that's like slightly more unlikely, but you know, earnings was just such a great hit that, you know, we ended up actually going all the way up here. I was saying how, you know, I would realistically expect at least, you know, like 1060. We ended up going to 1090, which is great. But nonetheless, I did say that even if we go all the way up here, or even all the way up here, I said regardless of the move that happens on the upside, you know, to one of these gaps up here, if not maybe all three, ultimately, I still think Tesla will go down to around the mid to low 900s. And I still stand by that to this day. I've been calling that for quite a while, and I still think that'll happen. Obviously, it's not going to go straight down. I mean, it could, but I don't think it will. You know, we're going to zigzag down there, essentially, as all stocks do. So, which is why I think, you know, tomorrow could be a nice little bounce play. Maybe go to 1030, 1025, something like that. Probably get rejected. Off of that, probably make a lower low here, probably bounce off of this gap fill on this level, which is like around that 980-ish level, 977, 980, something like that. Probably bounce up, test 1,000, probably get rejected. And then I think we're finally going to make our way down to this overall area down here, which is again like mid to low 900s. That's my current projection, like for tomorrow and next week. I think we're going to bounce, reject, bounce, reject. So essentially bounce to 1030, reject, fall eventually past 1,000, bounce at this gap fill at you know, 977-ish, bounce off of that to 1,000, reject, fall back down, maybe go a little bit sideways, ultimately break through this as well, and finally make our way down to overall the mid to 900s, mid to low 900s rather, and probably bounce off this teal line. So pretty much around like what day is next week ending at? Let's see, the 29th. Yeah, so I really wouldn't be surprised to see Tesla around 930, like potentially touch 930 next week, sometime next week. Like it just wouldn't shock me whatsoever. And that's essentially what I'm expecting, guys. So yeah, let me know what you guys think down below. Let's take a quick look at the indicators. Of course, the MACD is still looking fairly bearish. It's like sideways bearish. It's like, it's not really sure if it's actually truly getting more bearish or what. It's kind of going to say straight sideways. It doesn't really know what to do. You know, it can go short-term bullish in my opinion off of maybe a bounce coming up right here, but overall MACD is still like, overall the trend is looking bearish. RSI is like looking slightly bearish. I wouldn't say it's looking heavily bearish yet because no real bearish move has been made yet, even though today was a pretty bearish candle. You know, in terms of an overall market sentiment, like I still, again, which is why I still think we're going to be bouncing around this area you know, to 1030, then to like 980, then to bounce off of that. Like I think because of the way, you know, all these are looking, like there's a decent chance that something like that will happen, and I don't think it's like so bearish to the point where we're just gonna plummet through straight down. So that's, you know, keep that in mind. That's essentially what I'm thinking. But taking a look at the Bollinger Bands, you can see we did, of course, you know, we're still tightening actually. The Bollinger Band is actually going to retrace back down to like 1030 tomorrow probably, or something close to it. And Tesla tends to, you know, dance around the middle part of the Bollinger Band, which is that kind of, you know, white gray line. You know, it tends to go like relatively close to it in the majority of the time, and then every now and then making a large move to the red or green line. So I do think, you know, we're going to consistently bounce around that. The moving averages, you can see, we actually did bounce decently today off of the moving averages, the short-term moving averages, pretty much both of them exactly sitting, the 5 and the 8, pretty much sitting at exactly 1,000. So we bounce off of that, which, you know, gives me hope that there is still some short-term momentum that we can make a play happen, you know, potentially to, you know, again, like I said, 1030, maybe higher if we're lucky. But at the moment, my target is 1030. I did buy some shares at 1,000. I bought like 5 shares at 1,000, and I bought like 5 shares at, I think, like 1030. So I'm average at 1015 essentially for those 10 shares now. And yeah, I'm looking for 1030. I'll probably sell them there. 1025, 1030. And then yeah, that's essentially what I'm seeing, guys. I don't know. Pretty wild day. But nonetheless, like Tesla as a company itself, phenomenal earnings, like absolutely phenomenal. The future for Tesla is extremely bright. The issue is that it's not, again, always dependent on how the company itself is doing relative to the stock price. Short to medium term, it's a lot more like macro heavy than it is just how the company is doing. Long term, if you check back in 10 years, I think we'll all be very happy, even if you buy at 1,000. Not financial advice, of course. Do your own research, do your own due diligence, make your own decisions. But I think regardless, even if you buy now, to check back in 5-10 years, you should be pretty happy overall. But there probably will be a lot of short-term pain, noise, roller coasters, all that stuff. So yeah, but it is what it is, guys. Let me know what you guys think down below. See you for the next one. Peace.